I'm feeling a little bluesy right now. Greetings, I'm Doc V, and let me get right to it. On the news, Jordan Neely was choked to death on a subway train in New York. He was acting erratically and he was threatening people that were riding the subway, and a retired Army vet said, I need to get this guy under control. This man was named Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny grabbed the young black man by the neck and held him. He struggled with him for about 6 minutes till some people came in, tried to help and assist. And when he let the man go, he died shortly after that. Went to court. Daniel Penny went to court, and the charges that were pending were either manslaughter or negligent homicide. Well, the jury deliberated and they came out for manslaughter. He was found innocent, not guilty. And Jordan Neely's family and people in the black community were upset about this. They felt that there should have been a stronger consequence. What do I feel about it? My feelings are mixed. I understand the verdict on manslaughter. However, on negligent homicide, I believe there should be something. There should be some kind of consequence for that. Negligent meaning he made an error, he made a mistake, he made a misjudgment that caused the man to lose his life. The jury is going to be out on that, and he could be acquitted for that, or he could be found guilty, or maybe a lesser charge. We don't know. But my point is, there seems to be a pattern when someone of African descent needs to be accosted, or needs to be confronted, or needs to be arrested, or needs to be neutralized. It seems to go to a point where the person ends up dead. And I'm wondering, is there a pattern here? Is there something going on here? Just recently, we had George Floyd, not too long ago, a few years ago, when Coben had his knee on the man's neck. He had him handcuffed, hands behind his back, and he's sitting there with his 200 pounds with his knee on his neck. And he's saying, I can't breathe, you're hurting me. And when he finally took his knee off, he was dead. He killed him. White police officer, black man being arrested. It wasn't necessary. Is there a pattern here? Breonna Taylor, her apartment was broken into accidentally, and she was shot dead, and they were at the wrong apartment. Was there some racial motivation behind that? I can't say there was. I don't know what the final results were and what happened to the police officer that shot her. I'm not sure. Another incident, Botham John was in his own apartment, minding his own business, and the police officer that lived in the apartment complex, she came in, went to the wrong apartment room. She was on the wrong floor, and she came and saw the black man in there, and she took the gun out, shot twice, and killed him. Then she realized, this is not my apartment. Is there a pattern here? Is there something going on where when a black male needs to be confronted, you got to go all out? You got to take it to level 10 to subdue him or her? What's going on? What's happening? Eric Garner, he was selling tapes or selling something on the corner illegally. He wasn't supposed to. So they went to grab him. I'm not sure if it was the police this time or just some people around grabbed him and jumped on him. Garner was big. So they said, we got to hold this boy down. He's big. They got him by the neck and they got him by his limbs and they're holding him tight. They're afraid. They're afraid. Don't let him go. Don't let him go. And they finally let him go. And the police came. He was dead. They killed him. Freddie Gray, he was arrested. Maybe he was doing something wrong. Maybe he was. Skinny guy, black male. They handcuffed him, picked him up, and they threw him to the back of the wagon. He hit his head, banged his head up. And once they got him to the jail, he was dead. So, is there something going on, or are we just fragile? I don't think we're fragile as black men. I believe when I watch the NBA basketball and when I watch NFL football, I believe there's a lot of black men on the field and on the court, and they perform very well. They jumping up, dunking the basketball, they're running the football, cutting through. The black man looks pretty strong to me. So how come he can't be confronted or arrested without dying? What is it? Now, I must add this, for those that really don't know this, and I don't want to be offensive, but black men are not bulletproof. We cannot breathe underwater without assistance. We can't pick up cars and move them with our bare hands. We're just people like you are, or like the other people, like Hispanics, whites, Asians. We're just people with different cultural and religious backgrounds that are different. Our appearance is different. Some of us have lighter skin, some darker skin, some have slanted eye, some have small frames, some have big frames, but we're all people, a rainbow of people. But why, statistically, and statistics are unforgiving, why is it that when there is an arrest, when things have to be broken up, why is it the black men or the black people the ones that are getting killed, that are dying when there is an issue, when there was a problem? Is there something in the minds of some people that deem us as black people a little bit less, maybe expendable? I've told this story before. When I was on college campus, I was younger then. I had all my hair. I weighed about 170 pounds. I was on the track team doing my thing. And I took a business course. And the course was subjective in nature and not objective. What do I mean by that? Objective means the answer is either true or false. Your multiple choice is either A, B, or C, or D. There's no argument, there's no controversy. You've got the answer, or you don't have the answer. A subjective test is you write an essay or you write a paragraph and the teacher decides if you understand the content of this course or not. So I took a class, management class by objectives. And the teacher was an older white male. At the time, it looked like I was 20, so he looked way older than me. He had gray hair, short guy. And I sat in the front, and the whole class, 16-week semester or quarter, whatever we were doing back then, was just to listen to the professor, take notes. And then on the final exam, he tells you this is what you're going to write about. And he says, take out 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper and you write about this particular topic. So he did this. I said, sounds easy. And he gave what he wanted us to write about. And I started writing and writing and writing. The exam took about an hour and a half. I was done in an hour. It was easy to me. Got my grade for the class and he failed me. A D in college is failing. And I went to him after the classroom and I said, why did you fail me? I said, this was an easy class. I understood all the concepts. I got it. Why did you fail me? He said, well, you might want to, take someone else if you don't like, you can't handle this class. I said, I'm going to take you again. He was like, okay, you can take me again. So I sat in the front of the class and I took notes like I did before and I followed through and I even provided more detail, more content, more understanding, more supporting references. Turned it in, and I said, I got it this time. and he failed me again, another D. And as God is my witness, I'm not lying about this. I opened my report card and I was walking down to College Green and I looked at it and I saw the other D. And I looked up and this professor was walking right next to me, walked right by me, and he saw me and he grabbed his briefcase and crunched down to the ground. And right away I knew what was happening. And I just kept walking and I ignored him. And I said, this man is trying to mess me up. I can't believe it. He has the power to provide or give a subjective test and decide who he wants to pass and who he wants to fail. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget when he saw me and he got frightened of me and grabbed his briefcase and scrunched down, and I just kept walking with a tear coming down my eye. I needed the class to graduate. I took the class a third time, but with a different professor. This time I sat in the back. This professor had a little bit different technique. We had the textbook, we had to do some writing, we had some quizzes, we had to do some freelance things, we had to work in groups, and I just sat back there and I'm just wondering, okay, what's going on? Anyway, the 16 weeks was over with. I got my grade, I got my report card, took a deep breath, and I opened it up and I got an A for the class. Well, maybe you just didn't write it well, or maybe you just didn't understand management by objectives, or maybe you missed something. No. I understood that class. I understood what was happening. I understood the content, and I knew how to communicate well. I knew how to write well, and I knew how to speak well. And the first professor, for some reason, had in his mind that this man does not need to go forward. And the second professor, he was white also, but he wasn't thinking about that. He was just giving the assignments and grading. And I came through with an A for the class. This was my first lesson, my biggest lesson in discrimination. This hurt worse than people on the streets growing up calling me the N-word. Or people, wanting to fight me because we don't like those blacks, or people being racially profiling me, or seeing things happen to my dad. I remember my dad we moved into a new neighborhood. It was a white neighborhood. We were the first family on that block, and I was 11 years old. And I remember my dad coming home real late, and the police followed my dad to the house. And they wanted to know what you're doing over here. My dad was, I live here, this is my house. He had to get his ID and get the deed and get some mail and prove that he lived here. That didn't bother me so much. Being called the N-word didn't bother me so much. But when I went to the college and the university on a track scholarship, and I was National Honor Society in high school, and I took a class and the professor kept failing me because it was a subjective test that he could give me and make a decision if I could pass or not. That scared me. That hurt me. And that is just the beginning of the lessons that I had to go through. I had to face the reality and face the realization that being a black male in this country is different than being white. My dad raised me not to be prejudiced, not to be racial, not to judge a person on their color or their religion or their race, but judge them on their character. I was taught that. Everybody wasn't taught that, and everyone doesn't believe that. Things have changed and things are better, but I now have to be careful where I go, who I hang out with, and what conflicts. I have to choose my conflicts wisely. I have to choose my battles wisely. Now, believe it or not, don't be shocked. I've got some white friends that I trust. I've got some black friends that I love and trust. I've got some black acquaintances or coworkers that I wouldn't trust as far as I can throw them. And I've got some white folks that I see that I don't trust, because I was taught It's not based on color, it's based on that person. But because of my experiences and because of what I've seen happen to Jordan Neely, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Botham Jean, Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Garner, because I saw on the news what happened to those black men, I know that I have to be careful. I have to walk wisely. I still have to be wise in this society. Shaquille O'Neal, a multimillionaire. He's still making money. He's making more money now than he was when he was playing basketball. He went to board a plane to fly somewhere, and because he didn't want a lot of attention, he was standing by the first class window, and he had his hoodie on, and he was just waiting, just kind of waiting, just waiting. And the lady came and said, "You can't get in this line. You're in the wrong line." And he was trying to, well, you know, here's my ticket, showed her the ticket. He's like, something's wrong. This can't be the right ticket. And to make a long story short, the other customers, they were saying, this is Shaquille O'Neal. He played for the LA Lakers with Kobe Bryant and is the most dominant center in NBA history. And they were like, what are you doing? And Shaquille was, you know, he was polite, he was kind, and he took it like a man. And the lady was just embarrassed. My point is, Shaquille O'Neal, a millionaire, he's got multiple streams of income. He does commercials, he does movies, he played basketball. He was still judged because of how he looked. The battle is not over. The battle is not over. I'm Doc V, and I'll see you next time.